Okay, so good afternoon to one and all present here. I hope everyone is doing well and is safe despite the pandemic. I am Yashodhara Bose, the event coordinator of Team ESTEEM and the moderator for today's seminar. On behalf of my team, I welcome you all to our third webinar as a part of the seminar series Symposium. ESTEEM is the Solar Decathlon Society of Heriot-Watt University, and we participate in the SDME competition held in Dubai by building a smart home to tackle problems of climate change. Our aim through Symposium is to elaborate our field of expertise and provide a learning platform about the different technologies, principles, and ideologies involved with STEAM. We'll be also having a practical learning interactive segment at the end of today's seminar, so you can also ask any questions related to the topic to our guest speaker. We'll be recording our seminar as well, so if you want to refer to it later or show it to your friends, you can see a snippet of it on our social media platforms or ask us for the recording link via email. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our guest speaker for the seminar today, Jairis Alvarez Trujillo. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Who will be speaking on sustainable and intelligent buildings. Jairis is the communications team leader of Team ESTEEM and has studied architectural engineering from Heriot-Watt University. She'll be covering topics like pillars of sustainability, building assessment methods, embodied energy, etc. You can drop in any questions you might have in the chat box throughout the presentation or raise your virtual hands with the MS Teams feature on your device, and I'm sure Iris will be happy to answer them all. So over to you, Iris. Good luck. You're on
I
mute,
don't know
Iris.
you. Yeah, because I just realized that it was not a like a presentation, so it's a PDF, but still, it's gonna work for this. So, hello everyone. As Bozo said, this is the third seminar for the Symposium series, and this is about sustainable and intelligent building. I'm just gonna move on. Before I start, I also would like you guys to get to know me a little bit better. I know some of you know me, but just a little bit more. So I'm just going to pass them. So I am from Panama. I speak English, Spanish, and Italian. I actually live in several countries, including Panama, Canada, Italy, Scotland. I have an architecture background, but I also study hospitality management and culinary arts because I wanted to design the perfect sustainable kitchen, which I haven't done yet, but I'm working on it. And then right now I'm in my fifth year of architecture engineering, my last year, hopefully graduating next year. And I have hobbies like everybody. I like boxing, hiking, designing, reading, traveling, sharing, and I like learning. I have other passions, such as architecture. I can go to a city and just look at the buildings, and that's it. And then I also enjoy events, communication. I love marketing. And I have other interests such as investment, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and sustainability. And my role in Team STEAM has nothing to do with what I study in Heriot-Watt. As Bosa said, I am the communication, PR, event, and marketing team leader. And I usually, whenever it's needed, I help with renders if I have time. And so I just wanted to tell you why I wanted to choose the sustainable and intelligent building seminar topic. Even though I do architecture, and sorry, even though I do marketing, I I felt like last year when I had my course in fourth year, I I fall in love with sustainability and buildings because we had to do first a course of sustainable and intelligent buildings, but also we had to do our design project in which we actually had to decide before in the planning and designing stages which system we had to use, with renewable energy we have to use, with materials, and how we can make the indoor environment better for occupants. And I think it was something that hit me that we are the future professionals that are able to make these buildings better, not only to be energy efficient, because sometimes I think that as engineers we only focus on energy performance buildings and we start forgetting about the people that actually like they are there every single day, the occupant. So between my design project and my dissertation, which was on how indoor environments affect health and well-being and productivity of office of occupants in an office, I just fell in love with the topic, and I told myself, yes, I want to pursue the sustainable consultant career. Hopefully this is out of your interest, what I will be sharing. I'm not a professional, I'm still in university, so if you do want to know something that I haven't said in the presentation, then you can contact me separately. I will be more than happy to answer any questions. And just moving on. Uh, These are some of the topics that I will be speaking about. Of course, sustainable and intelligent buildings, but I'm not just going to cover that. I will cover also the pillars of sustainability because, again, as building professional, we need to start thinking about this before we even think of designing the building in the planning stage. I will also be talking about green buildings and some of the green buildings assessment tool. There are so many from the World Green Building Council, but I'm only going to share two because if I share all of them, we will stay here for hours. So I will be sharing lead and Brian, and we'll also be touching about embodied energy just because we need to know this as professionals. And I'll also be talking about Team STEAM House and why we are considered sustainable and intelligent house as well. And finally, because of my passion of marketing, I just want to leave you with the last slide of why we need marketing in this kind of project and in the overall sustainable approach and awareness that we have to do in the future. But before we start talking about this sustainable and intelligent business, we need to go back in time. We need to see why we need this. So I prepared a very small slide about it. So as you can see here, there is pollution. There is pollution everywhere in the world. Delhi, Beijing, Romania, Dubai, even where I am at the moment, even in Panama. And because of this pollution, we had some issues. For example, the London smoke. Also, if you just go back a year and a half, you can see COVID-19. What COVID-19 did to the buildings, it was a waking call for us, which are going to be the future building professional, because we need to start building places, not only outside, as I said, energy performance, we also need to take care of the indoors, because there was a poor research and all the papers that I did with my dissertation also on COVID-19, they found out that the rapid COVID-19 was spread faster because of the poor indoor air quality in buildings. And actually, there were some buildings that didn't have the ability to open a window, which is not good. That's the reason why we need to first be back in time to be able to pursue it in the future. Of course, there are some topics that we can talk about, which is the green gases. You might all know what it is. So it's the human activity that are the reason why green gases concentration are increasing in the atmosphere. As you all know, some of the gases are carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen, CFC, and all these gases, what do they do? For example, let's just touch on carbon dioxide. This is coming from people. If you look out of your window, you can see how we are contaminated with a lot of cars. There are people that use like 3 cars, one person each one, and this is not good. We need to start thinking about how we can remove even parkings and all these things. And all these human activity add green houses gases to the atmosphere, trapping them. And what is trapping more heat than usual and contributing to global warming, of course. In the past, there were some products such as aerosol, plastic, and refrigerant that they contain CFC, which is a chemical that is not good to the atmosphere because it has chlorine. This breaks down, and later on I'll talk about that. But because of this, because we were seeing that something happened, then there was a solution made. But we need to be more proactive about this. So in 1989, the Montreal Protocol actually banned it and the production of also depleting substances, which is good. But at the end, we have to find a first they have to find the problem and then the solution. So let's move on to the ocean deplete. So ocean gas, as you all know, is a natural present in our atmosphere, and O3 protects life on Earth by absorbing the ultra-solar radiance and heat retention. So what if the ultraviolet increase? Well, we will have problems with our body, skin cancer, and other problems as well. And what I found last year in my course is that volcanoes and oceans are the ones that are supposed to be releasing more, but it's not true. It's us. We are the reason why all this is happening. And let's move on. So now we have thermal pollution. Sudden increase and decrease in temperature of natural bodies of water by human influence. Again, it's us. Let's just touch in London. An average of 2.3, an average 2 to 3 Celsius warmer because of the high concentration of traffic and the heat emissions from air conditioning and boiler. And you might think, but Heidi, why do we need to care about the thermal pollution? Well, because it's caused by us. By what? Deforestation, urban runoff. Sorry about my my accent is a little bit hard to pronounce these words. And also about the water has a cooling agent for power plants, manufacturing industry. So we need to start caring about this. Another thing that I found interesting it was the domestic seaweed. For example, there are companies that actually are not treating the water that they waste, the wastewater, and they are just dumping it in the ocean. That's not good. We, as building professional again, we need to start thinking about this. And what does it affect? It increases toxin, it decreases the dissolvent oxygen. We have a lot of biodiversity loss, and the health and well-being for us is even bad. And as well, another thing that I wanted to touch on that is not related to the building, but also we need to start caring about it, is the increasing of metabolism rate. So what is that? Is when organisms they want to consume more. So what does that mean? That if there is not enough fish in the sea, then what humans are going to start doing is that just taking all the fish and fish from the sea, sorry, and there is going to be more demand than supply, and that's not good. So what are the things that we can do? As professional, we can start thinking of water recycling, cooling tower, cooling pumps, and sorry, and we need to make this decision. Sorry. Now, let's move on to climate change. Of course, it is the increasing concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide, for example, before pre-industry era, it was 280, and now it is estimated that in 2050 it's going to be 450, which that means the increasing of the temperature of 1.8 to 3. That high temperature, what does it cause? We all know it causes changes in the weather. It also causes increased levels. And why do I mention all these things? It is because 30% of the global energy is devoted into building and construction. Another thing, 82 global energy consumption in building is supplied by fossil fuel. This was in 2015. Hopefully that changed until now, but I didn't have the correct data due to lack of time. And then, but we also need to think about, okay, so these buildings, and we are making all these bad things in our building, but how can we improve it? We also need to think about the aesthetics. For example, in the UK, 70% of the energy is using heating. So whenever you are designing the building, what do you need to think about the heating, how you can improve it. Then you have 19% in cooling. That's not too much, but we also need to think about that. Then 70% in hot water, which actually was surprising. I thought it was more. And 5% in lighting, which means that yes, we are trying to tackle the light. We just need to move on into the heating as well. Okay, now that we know a little bit of background, we start with the buildings, of course, because that's why we came here, right? So these raised buildings are a key component in the fabric of the city. This is true, but it doesn't have to be the main component. We also have landscape parks that they all complement to each other to be able to have this amazing, for example, I have seen smart cities that they just complement. Okay, so but what is a building? Everyone can define building how they please, but it is an structure intended for shelter, housing, or enclosure of a person, animals, or chattels. I try to find this word, so that's the one. But for the construction industry, is one of see when you think about the buildings and the construction industry, this is one of the most important industries, and we have the opportunity to reduce this environmental impact and contribute to sustainable goals. It has to be, it can be in a small to big scale, which we are going to be touching later on. So the building life cycle, for those who don't know, is the site preparation, construction, operation, demolition, but there are much more as well. Then let's move on. So how we can improve this, how we can improve building. This is just a very small idea of how you can improve it, because I will be touching more later on. So you can improve the quality of life. What is the quality of life, Heidi? So the indoor environmental factors, which are the thermal, air quality, visual, noise, green areas. We need to start thinking to implement this. Energy use, of course. Every single person in the construction industry is thinking about energy performance. And materials and construction as well, being the building management. This is a good thing. We need to plan to be active and not to be able to waste a lot. Planning is good in this, and core landscaping. And let's move on. Okay, so what a building should have? A building should have many things, but I just listed a few of them because otherwise we'll stay here all day. So it should enhance biodiversity, minimize pollution, and transport and processing. It should manage every single after of the life cycle of a building as well, which I will touch later on. It should support communities. You shouldn't build something if it's not supporting a community because that doesn't make sense and it doesn't go with the three pillars of sustainability that we will be touching in the future. It should also create healthy environments and it should create more energy than consume. Never it should create more energy than consume. And also as building professional, we need to start thinking about the 5 R's and which are we might all know it. If you don't know it, try to print this in your mind because that is going to help you in the future. Refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and repair. This is something that we have to start thinking in the future as well. Okay, let's move on. So now, what are sustainable buildings? I try to find some of the definitions about what is a sustainable building, and it's designing, constructing, managing buildings in such a way that the building occupants' needs are met without the exceed of use of energy and resources so that enough provision is left to the future generations to provide for themselves. This is what I've been saying before, but in a more professional way. Also, the United Nations Environment Programme for Sustainability in Buildings and Construction Sectors, they say that sustainable buildings are an active process where policies and incentives provided by the government supporting sustainable building, as well as insurance companies, property developers, tenants that are aware of sustainability consideration and to take a role. So what does that mean? That not only engineers, not only people working in the industry, they need to learn about sustainable buildings. We all need to do it because this is an investment for the future. Maybe not for me, maybe not for you, for people that are going to be here in this plan 20, 30, 40 years from now, but we need to start from today. And also, I don't know if you know the organization, which is ISO, International Organization for Standardization. It defines sustainable building as the overall quality of the process that enables the delivery of sustainable buildings, and it needs to have three main requisites, which are sustainable technology, methods, and knowledge and constant development. This is good because if ISO say it means that we all need to start learning about this, but it also mentions what I said before, that yes, sustainable buildings, they can stand on their own, but they need also to be, to try to be, to take part into the sustainable impacts, which are the environmental, economical, and social. Okay, and I will move on. So what are these pillars of sustainability? As I said, these are these three, as you can see here, and I'm going to give a brief introduction to all of them. So, for example, the environmental requires that the natural capital remains intact, which are the natural capital, water, land, energy. That the extraction of renewable energy should not be higher than the one that you renew. This is a sentence that we should have printed in our mind. And waste should be avoided or eliminated where possible, and we should move to a linear to a circular life cycle for any resources and managing to operate within the limits of the world's nature and resources. Then when we move to economic, government and business use their resources and operate responsibly to make a profit. Again, you are not going to build a building that then it destroys the environment and the social impact. They should all work together. To make sure that everyone can enjoy fulfilling life, all must be inclusive and equal. I know in this world we still don't have inclusivity and equality, but we are working towards this all together. And economical value, of course, you are not going to build a building that doesn't have economical value because this is not going to be a profit. You're going to have a waste. And when you build buildings around the pillars of sustainability, you will see productivity, and which I will talk in future slides. And then for the economical growth must be supported, again, as I said, it needs to be supported by the social and environmental to be able to protect and to achieve sustainability. Now let's move to social. The ability of society to maintain the well-being of its citizens in a long term. So it would be the health, satisfaction, equality, traditions, history conservation. So you are not going to go, for example, to Rome and build a building that doesn't go into the story or traditions with them, because that is just not fair. And it is destroying the social impact and the environmental as well. So we need to take this in consideration. And let's move on. So, and I don't know if you have heard before. I just feel so bad because I'm talking a lot. Bosa, you hear me well, correct?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Okay, so now let's talk about the World Dream Building Council. I don't know if you have heard of this, but this is a good website that we all should get familiar with. So the World Green Building Council catalyzes the uptake of sustainability and sustainable buildings for everyone, everywhere. Their mission is to transform the building and construction industry across three aspects: climate action. Remember, I talked about all this before. Health and well-being, we should all be aware, resources, and circularity. It is an organization that motivates and creates frameworks for everyone to design sustainable built environments and that can improve and promote health, well-being, and practices for occupants. Again, we start shifting after COVID. Actually, we start shifting a lot how to protect occupants, and before we just were focusing on the energy performance of the building, of how we can improve materials. So now we are shifting to try to put some emphasis into this as well. And then the executive report from the World Green Building Council, and this was published in 2020. They created 6 principles. I do encourage you, I'm just going to name them, but I do encourage you to read this because it's also good to learn it. So we are able to put this in practice in the future. This was taken from here that you can see. Oh, I'm going to move my mouse. Okay, here. And so what are these? Is protect and improve the health, comfort, design, nature, and environment, healthy behavior, social value, and climate change. See, all this is important and well to know for to be able to construct a sustainable building, because building and the construction accounts for 39% of the energy related to CO2 emissions. So we need to start learning to be able to improve it, and we also need to know the problem to be able to solve it with a solution. Okay, so the World Green Building Council, and I did one of my part of my dissertation, I did it on this, and they have a fabulous website because you can find all the information that you need there. For people that are going to do their dissertation last year, this is a website to go, because I'm going to show you here, they have a online case studies from all over the world where they show buildings that, for example, they show a building from all over the world, and you can look at it in the building type, sustainability focus, system, or rating, which I will be talking later. So you just click on one of them. If you want to know, for example, in United States, you just click on it and you find a case study. And for my dissertation, I actually did a case study about a building that was located in Romania, which I'm going to show you here. So this building and the certificate was given by BRIAM, but why? And it had a class A level, which is one of the best classes. But why? Because what they did is that the organization that took it, it was a industry factory, and that they had there. So this place in the middle of the city, it was nothing. It was just a factory that was producing CO2 emissions, and it was doing nothing. So this firm they did is they contacted BRIAM, which I'm going to explain later how a building can become a BRIAM certificate. And they said, okay, we want to put all the pillars of sustainability, all from the World Green Building Council, and everything from the BRIAM, and try to see if we can make actually an office building that everyone is able to go inside. As you can see here, you can just see in the picture that they actually they have a natural light. So this is a very low light that doesn't impact in the artificial light, and it has low energy consumption as well. You can see here natural material has wood. They have a beautiful green wall. They have very nice inclusive spaces so anyone can go in. So when you see in this building, I think I want to work there because it makes me feel like it's a place that cares about me. And as you will see when you go in the industry, before you apply for a job, you should also try to see how the office looks like, because this is going to affect you in the future. If I see this, I'm going to say, yes, I want to work there. Okay, so let's move on. So green building rating tools. Just yeah. So as I told you before, the building that just passed is a BREEAM certificate with a Class A level. But there are so many green building rating tools in the website in this one that you can go and see. These are all of them. I'm just going to be touching in BREEAM and LEED later on because I think they are, in my opinion, one of the ones to know. And then the other ones are depending if you want to learn about only about the health and well-being here, which is wealth, or if you also want to learn about just houses, you can choose the home performance index as well. But let's talk about green building rating. So these are tools, they are a certificate that is given to a company or an organization that follows the guidelines and frameworks, including aspects from design, construction, maintenance, demolition, renovation, and which are managed by the Green Building Council to assess whether a building can be rated as green or sustainable, which is good, because it means that we have all these green building rating tools that they are working from all over the world with one single goal to make to reduce the CO2 emission from buildings and to make it more sustainable. Also, the guideline states to reduce construction waste and minimize the uses of resources as much as possible, as well as follow green building construction practices, which leads to increase. Again, we are seeing a lot of these increased health, well-being, and productivity, and indoor and outdoor environment. So when you look at these topics, they will all have the same sentences, but because they have to be printed in your mind whenever you're going to become a professional, or if you want to take in consultancy jobs as well. Okay, but how do we know what green buildings are, or how we can make a green building work? A green building is a building that in its design, construction, or operation reduces or eliminates the negative impact and can create a positive impact on our climate and natural environment. Green buildings preserve previous natural resources and improve our quality of life. And as you can see here, which I like this sentence because when we go in the industry, we in our brain is printed that it is a structure and we need to think about materials and we need to think about the performance and we need to start modeling. But it's not only that. A green building is not just an instruction. It is a process that we all need to work together to be able to make it better. And the New Building Institute said that an average use of this word is a bit hard for me. Intensities, which is the energy consumed per unit of floor in a green building, is around like 28% less than a conventional building. Nevertheless, this could be lower than that depending on the demand and what we want in a building. So, what makes a building green? Again, this is just like a repeating thing because all the information that I found, they actually teach me all of this. And once you get out of the seminar, and if you want to start like looking online, you will see these repeated things as well. So it's the use of water, energy, and other resources in an efficient way. The use of renewables such as solar energy where possible, because not everywhere you can use solar energy. You need to think about other renewable sources as well. The elimination or reduction of pollution and waste. How you can reduce waste before planning, as you can see here. I'm going to tell you this later. Reuse and recycle as much as possible. Comfort and in an indoor air quality. Yes, we need to start about the indoor air quality of occupants. We need to take in consideration the good and healthy health and well-being as well. I'm not saying don't forget of using non-toxic, ethical, and sustainable materials. We also need to think about that. We also need to model, and we also need to think about the energy performance, and again the quality of life. And also we need to think about designing buildings that are resilient, that they are able to adapt for future changes on our environment, that they're able, if there is a disaster, as I said here, they could be modular and functional when possible. Of course, if you're not going to make a building that is 20 feet tall, or no, like 20 stories tall, functional or modular, that might be a little bit of a challenge. Maybe in the future we are able to do it, but it's always trying to see and innovate how we can make it better. And as you can see here, I said it before, it was everything has to start from the planning. And this code makes me think about this team house. We haven't constructed. We are now constructing, but before that, we had so much planning to be able to reduce waste, have good energy, have nice non-toxic materials. It all started in the planning for them to move on in the site, design, construction, and occupancy. Which is this is the circular that you need to think as well. But let's move on. Okay, so now what makes a green building again? But at this, I'm gonna just in this one, I'm gonna touch more into how we can improve each of them as well. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so let's start with site and location. Site allocation. Transportation accounts for 30% of the greenhouse's emissions. So what does that mean? That we need to organize and plan how we can go to site without using 5 cars, 5 people. Better to reduce it. Avoid choosing sites. This should be something that we should all know. Do not use farmlands. Why do we need to construct a building if it has a beautiful fruits and trees and the environment is so nice, and then we come there with our building? No, unless it's very sustainable, we shouldn't do it. The wetlands, local habitat, and flood site. We need to try to avoid this. A green building and reducing a single drive, I already said it, providing service accessible by foot or public transit. Whenever you are choosing a site, try to see around. Okay, are people able to not drive and take a bus and be able to just walk into the building? Yes, then this is the site that I want. Or are they not? How can I make this happen? How can I make it better for people? Which is going to reduce the parking, less CO2, less energy as well, less money we have to invest as well. Or some of the things that I was looking online is that it's better to do refurbishment or to use sites that they were already developed, they already had an infrastructure, and as well as the transportation method. So when you're choosing this site and location, try to see if people can cycle, and then therefore then you're able to see, okay, I would have a storage bike, I will have shower option in my building, but I have to see days before in here in the site location. Of course, if you're going to construct a building in a highway, don't think about putting a cycle rack or cycle storage, because I don't know how many people cycle in a highway. It's not very friendly for anyone, so you will have that place that you could have used for landscaping. So we need to start having a critical mind when we are building. Now let's move on to the construction side. Okay. When we are constructing, there is going to be noise. So we need to start planning of how we can reduce the amount of noise, the amount of dust. Every time we move something, there is dust not only for the people that are around the building, but also for us. How is damaging that for us. Reduce the erosion and the sedimentation. Also, when we are in the construction site, we should try to conserve and protect and restore habitat such as plants and animals. We should try to include a lot of landscape with plants. Make walkable when you are there. Try to visualize. Am I able to make an outdoor place where they can walk? Also try to include water feature where is possible. This is all where is possible, of course. Don't put I don't know, a lake in the middle of the city. No, don't do that. Try to see it. Always have a critical thinking about it. And okay, let's move on. In the okay in still in construction site, sorry. So there are other things that are affecting us, which is the storm water. So how do we tackle this? We can do rain gardens, we can do rainwater and capture, permanent pavements, and reduce parking. Always is good to reduce parking. We also need to reduce the heat island effect, which is the big thing. As I told you before, in London they have heat island effect. How we can do that? Simple. Try to plan. Oh, okay. I can, instead of adding a rainwater roof where I can harvest rainwater. Okay, maybe I could add a green roof. It looks good, and it also compensates as well. And reduce dark colors and increase green areas. If possible, cover parking or zero parking is better. And for those that are doing design project in next year for architecture and engineering, if you are here, try not to put parking as well. And also light pollution reduction. try to have a balance in between your daylight and your nightlight. You don't want to have a building in the night that has a lot of artificial light when nobody's inside. Try to reduce it. It's good for us as well. I remember back in Edinburgh, you could see like some stars, but when I went to the countryside in a conservatory, I saw the Milky Way, and it was just so wonderful for me because I didn't see it in the city center. Okay, let's move on to resources. This happens during the whole cycle of a project. So don't think about the resources only when you are planning constructing. No, you need to think about the whole cycle. For example, even when you are on the site, are people using paper cups? Are people using coffee cups? Are people using lunch boxes, knife? All this is part of waste. That waste that is going to happen in the future, that is going to be waste, which came from resources. So we maybe need to start also planning. Do I make a coffee place where people can just take the coffee instead of bringing every time a coffee cup, because that is also is creating footprint. It is not directly, but indirectly you are creating more footprint, a carbon footprint. Sorry. And also we can reduce that. We need to start thinking of a sustainable approach, how we can reduce this in the future. And resources, we should be avoid the waste and pollution. Let's move to water. So there are three kinds of water in a building: indoor, outdoor, and the process from water use and equipment, which are cooling towers, laundry, and among others. And just so you guys know, maybe I don't know in the UK, but in America, and every single person uses around 80 to 100 liters of drinkable water per day. We only need 1 gallon to live. So imagine this. Where do you think this drinkable water is going? Flushing the toilets, and the next one is the shower. So what are the alternatives that we can use to try to improve it? Okay, so if we are using that amount of water, then why don't we do a grey water system where we can collect all this water and then use it for the sinks to flush it, or for the outside for the landscaping as well? Or why don't we implement a low flow flowing feature? So these toilets that they don't use a lot of water, we can also implement that. In the garden, we can implement sensor-based smart controllers, which helps to reduce it as well. And then another thing that I found interesting in buildings that they are implementing now is smart meters. I know, smart meters, but they are able to, for example, in a year when a building is, or when a building has a lot of people inside, you're able to see where you are wasting most of the water. And when you know the problem, you can find a solution. Without the smart meter, you will be wasting water, but you would never know where is that water wasting. So always try to include this smart meter in your building. Let's move on to energy. Okay, when we think about energy, yes, it is one of the highest costs that we have, but it is an investment cost. So if you are implementing solar panel, maybe not now because there are a lot of incentives, but before it was a huge cost for a company or a project to do it. But before even starting about these high-tech technologies, let's think about the passive strategies, the low-cost passive strategies that we can implement. And you have it. You have the sun, wind, building topography, vegetation to minimize the energy. So try to work this out. And last year no, this year in my fourth year, when I had to do my design project, we have to first think about the passive strategies, and it makes you think that yes, we are able to do it. It's just a little bit more effort that we have to put. Next thing that you can do in before thinking of the technology, think about the envelope of your building. Am I able to put wood? Am I able to put louvers? Am I able to put efficient glazing, green walls? In that way, when you come to these technologies that are expensive, then you in a way are able to reduce as well. And also, for example, in when also we need to start about thinking who is going to occupy this building. Occupants, they don't know. They go to a room, they turn on the light, and they leave it there. So what do we need? We need sensors in the building as well to be able to prevent and reduce the amount of energy that we consume. Then we can have other implementation as building a management system as well, which I will be talking in the future. But this also, again, another thing that we need to think about is the energy and how we can produce energy on site, but not create carbon emission or pollution as well. And the last thing is that, as I said, You need to know your renewable sources: solar, wind, geothermal, low impact, hydroelectric, wave, and tidal energy. Those are your energies that you need to work with when you are implementing a building. And the last one here is health and well-being. Health and well-being is for us because we are the users of that building that you will be constructing. So you need to start thinking about the thermal comfort, acoustics, the air quality, the views, the daylight, all of these things, they need to go together, because in a building that you don't have natural light and you have an excess amount of artificial light combined with your computer, it will cause people to be tired, it will cause people to have poor quality of sleep. It has happened to me. I'm sure if you think about it in the future, if you have worked in an office, it had happened to you too. If you have a bad ventilation system or no natural ventilation where you can actually open a window, then you will have, and directly you will start having sick building syndromes, which I'm not going to be talking about this. If you are curious to see about sick building syndrome, just try to find it online and you will find that yes, we need to start thinking about this. And also, because at the end, according to some research, we spend 90% of our time indoors, and unfortunately that not only includes buildings, it also includes cars. I have a friend of mine in other countries that they have their lunch in their car because they don't have the building doesn't have the facility for them to eat, which is not good. And all these things could have been avoided in the planning stage if they were thinking about the users instead of only focusing on the building and the energy. Okay, so let's move on. Now we will talk about resilient leadership and innovation. This is just going to be very small. So resilient, what is resilient? According to the Resilient Design Institute, it is the design of building and landscape communities and regions in response of vulnerable disaster. So in other words, we need to build buildings that are able to withstand any damage and rapidly recover. But who is able to do this? Leadership and innovation. We and professionals in the sustainable industry at the moment, we all need to work together to be the leaders of the future, to try to know all this, gather all the knowledge that we can. So when we have to make a critical decision, we make the best that we can. And innovation, there is always innovation coming on. You need to stay up to date on innovation. Otherwise, you're not going to know if somebody asks you what we can do, how we can make it better. So yes, always learning and innovation. Okay, let's move on. But how, so when I was doing my dissertation and design project, I always ask myself, but how we can work together? There are so many people working in a project, so how we can make the best decision possible? Where we need to work in a holistic system where holistic systems are used in green buildings due to the better communication among parties. What does that mean? That we all communicate to each other and we all make decisions around what we are doing. So it has to be integrated, holistic, and for the whole building. So not only engineers, contracts owners, also occupants and any commissioner agents as well. And once we are in the industry, we need to start thinking about why do we want to have a green building? Because there is a lot of cost for a green building. You need to have a construction premium, design fees, testing and verification fees. The certificates are very expensive as well, and the green building certification as well. And then the second cost will be your life cycle cost, the life cycle of a project. So just to give you an example, when you buy a car, you have to do the maintenance. Nobody pays the maintenance for you. You have to do the operational cost and the replacement. No, if you have one of your parts is damaged, nobody's going to pay that for you. You need to do that by yourself. So you need to know this cost before buying a product or before doing a green building. But when you're giving these options to your stakeholders, you need to give them the short and long-term goals and the benefits. Tangible benefits. Which are the tangible benefits? Are the saving in energy, all the energy that they are going to save because of the investment that they have put in this. The high rent. There was some research that says that green buildings, the rent is higher. First, because people know they are green buildings, because they know how they are based on, and because of the investment that a person has put into it to make it better. Non-tangible ones. When you think about non-tangible, it will be if I am building an office, but I'm building a green office where I know my workers would have a good health and well-being. they are going to make profit, which is intangible, in productivity because they will feel good to be there. They will want to go to work. It will reduce the turnovers, of course. If you have a space that is good, it's going to also improve their health and well-being. And another thing that I found interesting that I would like to share with you is that the World Business Council for Sustainability Development on 2007, you can find this online as well, responders said that they think that the green building features of a building it added 17% more of the cost, but in reality it's 2% depending on how much technology and how what certificate you would like, which I'm going to be talking about later. But it's so fascinating that people think it costs a lot, but when you actually put it together, you need to see the long-term investment of what you're doing. And let's move on. And so again, this is just the three pillars of sustainability, but I wanted to give an example with the John Elkington, and you can look him online as well. He had a very mindful way of putting the three pillars into sustainability as well and buildings. Economic is profit, we all know. Environment, planet. Social responsibility is people. So let me put it this way: if you have a building which is in a walking distance of every single thing in a city, the social impact is that you're going to improve the health and well-being of a person because they are going to be able to walk, exercise, which increases their way and their thinking of the community of the building. The economic value for people is that they are going to be saving in gas, and the environmental is that less cars in the road, less fossil fuels used. And let's give you another example, which is the waste management. Reducing, reusing, and recycling, just the three of them instead of the five. The social community. So when I am working in a building that I know is green building and is contributing to the pillars, I feel better because they are doing less pollution, because they are not wasting, because they have a recycling system. And I know that they care about the community that the building is in relationship to the environment. If we recycle the materials, then we are not able to use raw materials, and all this doesn't go to the landfill. The landfills are reduced. Again, this is another thing that we start thinking about. And then the economical benefit. Okay, the project budget benefits because if we plan to reduce less, and sorry, to waste less, reduce and reuse, then it means that we buy less, and if we buy less, we pay less, which is good. And this is just a rapid thing. Like, let's create again personal project and corporate programs to be able to have a better sustainable approach because we cannot do it alone. We all need to do it together, and it saves time and money in the future. And let's move on to the embodied energy. I said I will just talk about it very little because we just need to know. And so it is the energy that goes into a project of a good. The choices of material and construction methods that we make impacts in the amount of embodied energy as well. So think about the chair that you're sitting at the moment. It came from a raw material, then it went to a manufacturer, then it was assembled, then it was shipped to the supplier. Maybe the supplier have a third party, which then goes to you. That's the reason why then to reduce it, we need to buy local. Always think about that and see. These are the materials that have more embodied energy, and we can see timber, which is the one that we're using for the steam house, is less, which is good because we thought about that in the planning stage. Okay, so before I talk to you about the green building rating tool, I'll just talk about two very briefly, which are the LEED, and it is the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. This was one in 1998, and BREEAM, Building Research Establishment Environmental Assessment Methods, 1990. I'm going to start with LEED. Sorry. And LEED actually is popular in United States, but I found out through my dissertation supervisor that it's also popular in Dubai. So for those who are in Dubai here, it is popular. And the rating system are for new construction, interior fittings, existing buildings, homes, and neighbors. And the LEED version, they actually renew every 3 years. So they update because technologies, sustainability, and all these updates every year. So they need to keep up to it. And then the LEED certificate is composed by prerequisite and credit, but all the project must be the prerequisite. So even if you want to have one of these certificates, you need to meet the prerequisite before, and the total amount that you can take is 110 points. There are 4 levels. Platinum is the big one, which is more than 80. Gold, 60 to 79. Silver, and then the certificate, which is 40 to 49, which is most of the business can have that. And then lead credit categories. These are all the lead credit category. And as you can see here, indoor environmental quality is one of them. Then you have also location and transport, sustainability cities, material and resources. I mean, you can read it here, but these are the categories. Most of the green building rating tools, they are all similar because they all went in hand by the World Green Building Council. But how you can make a building LEED, how you can have a LEED certificate. So first you have to register online in the LEED online website. Then you have to submit all the design, also all the drawings. The same as we did with the ESTEEM house drawings. You have to submit all the energy performance modeling and all the regulation for the country that you are in. Then there's going to be a final review and option to appeal if you don't agree. This is the when in this one, in final review, they give you this card, this scorecard that you can see here. Green is good, yellow maybe, and red is no. So you can appeal for that, and then they give you the certificate. This is all done online, and you don't require um, any person to go on site and this thing. This is not that kind of certificate. And you, if you want to become a lead professional, you need to take a course online as well. And then for you to become a professional, and the requirement is just to be more than 18, and the course is a 20-hour course that anyone can take, and you need to score 70 or higher. The amount is 120 to 200, so you need to score the text exam, and then you will be able to have your lead certificate as a assessor. Then let's move on to the BREEAM. BREEAM is actually one of my favorites. I did that in my dissertation. This was launched in 1990, and it actually takes 80% of the market share across Europe. And as you can see, there are many BREEAM certificates developed in almost 76 countries since 1990. And the same has LEED. It goes into master planning, community building, new construction, in-use construction, refurbishment, and fit-outs, as well as civil engineer and public infrastructure as well. You can see here there are not 4 levels. I mistake that. These are the rating certificate levels: outstanding, excellent, very good, good, pass, and classified. Remember I told you the Romanian building where it got an outstanding, which is a class A building, due to the due to this thing that is here, the BREEAM categories. So these are the management, health and well-being, energy, transport, water, materials waste, land waste, pollution, and innovations. For a building to be class A more than 90, they need to meet at least most of these. And to get the certification for a building to be BREEAM is different than LEED, because first you need to decide which standards you want to apply. So which of them do you would like to apply? Then you will contact a local BREEAM advisor. So the difference between LEED is that you can just put everything on a website, and you just have a community online. With this one, you are given a BREEAM advisor to be able to help you to make better decisions. Then they register the project for you. Then they carry out the BREEAM pre-assessment, which is helping you with all the documentation, and then they provide you with the necessary evidence then you have to provide all this necessary evidence to the assessor during the design and construction. So what does that mean? That they will go there and see that what you put online is real, and then they have a review, and at the end you can get your certificate. The BREEAM assessor, they are well prepared, and they have a license to be able to do this. Also, if you would like to know about the BREEAM technical standards, you can find all these online. It's free of charge. And if you would like to be a BREEAM assessor, it's very easy. You just have to complete a course online, pass the exam, apply for the license, but you also need to have a minimum level of profession and not experience before. So working on a few projects to be able to say yes, I could be able to do this. And so these are the certificates. So now that we talk about sustainable buildings, I'm just going to talk very briefly, because we don't have a lot of time, of intelligent buildings. When you ask the person, what is an intelligent building, the first thing is that they say, okay, it's a building that has high-tech technology with AR, VR, and more. But for some people, for us, it's a building that combines innovation technology with great management skill to increase return on investment, always thinking on investment in the future. And another definition that I found on my course notes when I did it this last semester, it was a building which is equipped with systems that enables us to continue and respond and adapt to changes in condition, which allow us to have more efficient resources and increase the comfort and security of occupants. And what an intelligent building has, you might think. There are two parts. There is a one integrated system or a separate system. I'm not going to be touching about this, but if you want to write this too, you can find it online. And it has to have an energy efficient, climate controls, life safety system, telecommunication, sensor and software, of course, and a workplace. And what is a workplace? It's where everybody, where all this data they come together so they can work all together. Okay, and then move on. So, what are the benefits of intelligent buildings? They reduce energy, they reduce waste. If you have an intelligent buildings, your rent is higher. Of course, you can ask for more money. It reduces the running costs because you're able to know the problem beforehand or when it's happening. It identifies early problems. Yes, it improves the occupant's comfort, and it has a 24/7 surveillance monitoring, which is good. There are some implications as everything, and you need to find entry points, location, cable distribution is a big thing in this building. Also, if you have a 20 to 30 storage building, sorry, not 30, and if you have a wireless operation, service room, right now there are not too many service rooms, but it is another thing that you think about. You need to have these spaces for this building if you want to implement it. There is distribution socket, heat gain. You have all this equipment. Of course, you're going to have heat gain and the equipment lifetime. So you need to think about what you're going to do if this is damaged, or if this is or if it's damaged, repair, or you don't need to use it anymore. So you start again. This is all planning as well, and to avoid waste. And why should we develop or include it? Because if we change the organization, for example, in team we change the organization every 6 months. All this data, it has to be collected in one place. So when it changes, the new people, they are able to find it, instead of before, where if one company buys another company, they had a lot of papers everywhere where you couldn't find the information. Now with this, it's easier for us. And the production, you are able to see if you need, for example, there is a light that is not working, so the production of the light, you need to see where is the light, so you don't need to buy 100 lights. There is a specific path that you are able to see before you waste money in things that you don't need. Also, the employment in an intelligent building. Right now, we live in a world that, as you saw, and COVID can happen or a disease can happen, and then people need to start working remotely. So we need to start thinking of how we can implement intelligent buildings for the employees as well, that they can say, okay, I take my computer and I still work from home, so I don't need to be all the time at work. And it also goes with the technology. I don't know if you remember, but in the past, we used to have a big, massive computers in our office, which take a lot of time. But then technology is improving, so there is a small computer. There is more technology that is able to interact with us and to improve our environment as well. The data, there is a great amount of data, and as I said before, we don't want to have a room with a pile of papers and to look into it. It would be just simpler to have a workspace where we can just share everything with each other and anything can be found, even when it goes to energy performance or all the modeling, all these things to be stored in a data, not in a piece of paper in a place. And also, right now, technology is cheaper than workers, so we need to start training our workers for them to be able to try to manage these things in the future. And let's move on. So, and as I said, I'm just going to touch very briefly in these two. And so the building management system, they are a sophisticated in which they program and control all the energy consumption system in a building to provide the conditions required to minimize the consumptions and costs. So in other words, it is the BM system is a set of instructions to tell you what to do. So a software which is produced by the manufacturer or the hardware, and it is often in a language unique to them. The actual people that know this language are the programmers. When we see it in our hand, it's just a graphic with some data analysis that we can do on our hand as well. So this is the building management tool, and it's an standalone system computer as well. And we don't have a lot of time, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up. And then in intelligent homes, okay, so this is the new concept of intelligent homes. So it is a smart home that is interlinked devices that allows the residential to make easy and efficient household and decision, and it enables a 24/7 monitoring and control of the house in a simple way. Or control of the house, security, entertainment, home working, automatic reading meters, which is good, a standby energy supply grid, and more. I have a friend of mine that has not 100% an intelligent house, but it's so nice to see that when he is in a pub drinking a beer, he could see if there is something wrong in the house because he has it in his phone. And it's good because we need to start implementing. Yes, this is sometimes we think that smart homes are very expensive, but remember, it's always an investment for the future. So, so now I'm just gonna move out into Team STEAM because of course we are a sustainable and intelligent house. And as you can see here, we have a different height which contributes to natural light and also in haze. When you see up on the sky, people are happy because they can see the sky instead of a roof with nothing on it. So we are using that in our favor. We also have the entrance. As I said, remember when I said about the passive strategies? This is when we started thinking about the passive strategy before you even constructed. So we thought about the entrance being in the northern side to provide shade for visitors. So this is going to be in Edinburgh and Dubai, so they are not affected by the weather conditions as well. And we also have a garden space around the house, and this gardening space, this is going to be utilized by a gray water system, so we don't need to use fresh water for this, which is good because again we started to think about how we can reduce energy. Then we have a flexible net zero home with closed loop recycling material that enhances a positive and smart technology with net zero and net energy positive in active use. And then as you can see here, we also think about the material. I said that timber had a low embodied energy. We are using prefabricated timber panels, transported and assembled on site with a system of ASGC, and the large cross-laminated panels, they are also from Scotland and Construction Scotland Innovation Center. So when we think about these two, we thought about the embodied energy, and we also talk about the circular life cycle of the project, because what if we then bring all the CLT panels to site, manufacture, assemble there, and then we have to put everything that we don't use into the factory. So we are reducing there a lot of carbon footprint in between that because we are assembling everything on Construction Scotland Innovation Center as well. And then when we think about other aspects of the house, and these are just few, and I do welcome you to look at our website because there is more information in there, which one of our colleagues is doing that. And we also have, for example, these arches that are decorative on the southern side. They work both ways. They reduce the carbon footprint, and they also look as shading for the car, which is good as well. In the intelligence side of it, we have a smart storage and management energy using battery and phase management and change material. Sorry. We also have an internal condition monitoring with sensors provided from Arvin Co, one of our sponsors, to allow smart and control of comfort boosting and well-being. Again, we are thinking about people that are going to be living inside. Then when it goes to the system, we have a heat recovery system to recover heat and cool within the house, reducing the energy demand on condition by, again, another sponsor. So this is a combined collaboration from Paul HR. And we have a 3D printed tower as well that provides natural ventilation. And again, this wind tower is not going to be traveling and to Edinburgh. It's going to be done in Dubai and assembled in Dubai again to reduce its carbon footprint and that we can transmit. And then when you see this angled roof, is to optimize the angle of the sun during the winter season. Again, we start thinking about people inside. And all these things that I've been talking about sustainability, intelligent green buildings, and the SDME and the STEAM house, we need to think about how we can share this. And that's when my passion of digital marketing comes, because we are only able to make aware people of what is going on in the world if we are actually able to give them through social media or digital marketing. Otherwise, if you don't know what is going on in the world and you don't know how to solve it, or if you're not that kind of person that likes to read at all, but is putting like is all the time in social media, you're able to see and be aware of this and even share it. So more participation, more people are able to know this. And this is the end. So thank you for listening, everyone. I know it was very, very long, but thank you for listening. I'm just going to stop sharing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was indeed a very descriptive and informative presentation. For me personally, like I am studying renewable energy development, but these are a couple of things that I wasn't aware of and has definitely now helped me enhance my knowledge. So thank you for that, Iris. So just we have really short, little bit time left, but still, if anyone has any questions, you could just write it in the chat box or just raise your virtual hands, and by the time people do that, I have a couple of questions that I received in the registration form. So, Harris, if you would like to just answer these short questions. So, there was one question which said, which is better, sustainable or intelligent building, and why?
Okay, I just realized that it's so warm here. Even me, I'm not good in the indoor environment. I have my window closed because there is a lot of noise. So in regards of your question, I will say that you cannot choose in between. Was it like to choose in between sustainable and intelligent, right?
Yeah.
You cannot choose between sustainable and intelligent. I mean, you can, but what we are trying to do in the future as future professional is to try to combine them both and try to see that it might be more expensive to combine them, but it is an investment for the future, as I said before. So, and I don't think we should be choosing, we should be combining both of them. Is that
Okay.
answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so since I can't see anything on the chat box, I'll just quickly ask you one more. What challenges do you think that might be encountered while building a sustainable or intelligent home?
Okay, so as I said, I am finishing my fifth year, so it might bear with me if you don't find the right answer. But there are many challenges. The first one would be the amount of money that you have to invest to be able to build this. But again, you need to see it as an investment. Everything that we do, it is an investment for our future. So can you repeat me actually the question?
Yeah, it's just like what challenges do you think? Like, it's a really new concept. Like everyone's using everything else and they're just building new normal homes, but why sustainable and intelligent? What do you think the challenges might be there, like for building it?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was just going to first the initial course that you have to do. Also, we need to aware of all this technology. If you are a consultant, but you are like 2 years before, like you don't know a lot of technology, then it means that you are not able to give the right option. The market now, there is a lot of incentive. There is a lot of there is a lot of demand of the the product that we have now, that I don't think the only challenge for me would be you. If you as a consultant you are not able to give the right choices, I have a critical mind in a project, you are making the job of everybody else plus your stakeholder plus your occupants in a building worse. So I guess my answer will be you are your challenge. First, try to learn to be able to assist better.
Perfect. That's amazing. Okay, so just once more, I would like to ask anyone who is attending the meeting, thank you for staying for so long and paying attention to Iris. It was great. So, does anyone have any question that you want to ask Iris? Here's your chance. You can just unmute yourself or write it on chat box. Anything is fine with us.
It's okay if you don't have any questions. I'm happy. If you just can tell me if you like this seminar. I know it's for very long, but I thought it was very good to inform all these things. because I
Yeah.
never had the chance to talk about sustainability or engineering stuff. So it
No, no,
was
that was really very helpful, Harris. Like, seriously, with global warming and climate change, it's very important to find an environmental friendly way to tackle these challenges. And I'm sure this seminar being so descriptive and you've like covered, I think, a lot of points. So it has really helped to learn a lot about one of the ways, which is like constructing and living in a sustainable, intelligent building. And I feel so proud to be part of ESTEEM who is building such a smart home, so which is really cool. So I don't think there's any questions coming. Okay, there is one. I think John is typing something. John, you could just unmute if you want to say something, or you can type. Anything is fine.
oh, thank you.
Oh, it's just very interesting. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we have come to the end. So I would just like to thank all the attendees for taking some time out to come today. So if it's not too much to ask, can everyone just turn on their camera so we can just take a screenshot for our social media, if that's okay with everyone? I think it's just gonna be me and okay, no, we have people. Yay! Hi, John. Hi, Adam. Hello. Okay, everyone, cheese. Cool, that's great. So thank you again, Iris, and everyone who's come here today. I would just like to also say that we'll be releasing our crowdfunding website soon. So if you'd like to donate any amount to help us build our smart home, just do that, and we'll be really grateful to you. And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter to get updates on the upcoming seminars. We have a lot of cool topics coming up soon. And to get any updates on ESTEEM or the crowdfunding website, just follow us on these social media platforms. We hope you enjoyed today's seminar. So have fun, enjoy your summer. The COVID relaxations are coming in. So have a great time, guys. Thank you again for joining in. Thank you, Iris. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.